and welcome to week 5 of the Leadership Lunch Series. For those of you that know me, you know I go by the name Bubba. For those of you that don't know me, that's not my real name. My name is Robert Baroniel, and I'm the coordinator of athletic operations here at Lynn. I'm a former baseball student athlete, and like you all, I had the pleasure of competing within the Sunshine State Conference. I have a love for the experience of being a student athlete. I was one myself, and that's why I'm still working in this business today. I have an appreciation for the quality of play that we experience here in the SSC, and I have an appreciation for just how special a place Lynn University is. I've only been here for a year, but in that short amount of time, I realized just how lucky I am. Between the education, the 25 national championships, the 45 conference championships, being in the city of Boca, our partnership with Adidas, with Apple, and most importantly, the people that make up Lynn. I realize that there's no other place in the country I'd rather be now than right here, right now in Lynn. So that's my moment to brag about Lynn. Before I talk a little bit about what I want to share with you all today, I want to do a quick recap of what we've gone over so far, right? When we begun this journey, week 1, we told you all that we were here to give you a set of tools that you can add to your toolbox, things that you can use in your everyday lives to help you become a better version of yourself. Things that you could use that could really help you get through the current time that we're in this global pandemic. So with that, last week we had Commissioner Pasquay on. He talked to us about the value and the gift of being a student athlete, and realize that it is a gift, right? The opportunity that I was given, that you're given, to have the opportunity to work in this kind of environment and learn things that you can take with you and apply to you in life after college and life after sport. Working in a team setting, being able to communicate with people from different backgrounds, different walks of life, time management skills. But he really honed in on one piece that stood out to him, which was being in a world where your weaknesses are always put out there and you're always dealing with failure. But because you're a student athlete and you have this experience, you have the opportunity to turn those weaknesses into strengths, to turn those failures into successes. So always keep that in the back of your mind as you're going throughout your journey of being here at Lynn. Angie Jaber, the week before, taught us about mindfulness, right? She reminded us that when things get tough, just take a deep breath. And for me, that was a timely message personally, because that same day on my way home, I was hit with some pretty stressful news. And I found myself telling myself, just stop, relax, and just take a deep breath, and we'll get through it. Prior to that, Dr. Carter Tellison talked about resiliency, right? And she gave us 2 choices. We can sit here and we can tread water and wish things would go away, or we can work on connecting, building skill sets, developing a growth mindset. So with that being said, midway through Block B, the question we ask is, how many of us are still treading water, wishing the situation would go away? Or how many of us are looking at this with the glass half full and trying to adapt and find the positives? And a quick plug here, recognize something that you'll never have as much free time as you have as a student athlete than you have now, right? And that's it's not a great thing, right? We don't want that free time. I get that. I understand it. But essentially, it's the card we've been dealt. So what do you do with that free time? And if you haven't met with the Career Connections office, I highly encourage you, whether you're a freshman, whether you're a senior, whether you're thinking about the next step or you're just in the moment, go out to them and ask them to meet with them. Build a resume, right? Learn how to conduct an interview. Find ways to connect with employers. Think about what you want to do after this, because at some point in time, this is going to come to an end, right? And we're going to transition into life after college. Then week 1, we had our director of athletics, Devin Crosby, talk about 9 words that will change your life. And it's those 9 words where I'm going to pick up today, right? The goal of my talk, the objective of why I'm here, is to hopefully give you a framework to operate around when it comes to using spirit, service, strength to apply to your everyday life. For me personally, when I'm trying to process how spirit, service, strength applies to my life, I think of 2 situations. One of those deals with me dealing with conflict, right? Either it's in a relationship or a friendship and I have an issue with somebody. It could be a coworker, it could be a boss, right? And there's something I have to work through. Sometimes I ask myself, how does spirit, service, strength guide me? There's other times where I have to make a tough decision and I don't know what to do, right? I'll sit there in that moment and I'll ask myself, all right, well, where does this decision lie within spirit, service, strength? And I think I got to that point because in the nature of my role where I'm at with having the supervisors that I have and having the coaches that I have and just being in this environment of Lynn, I'm always being challenged to look at spirit, service, strength. Seriously, right? When we're in a meeting and there's something we got to figure out, we'll pull the graphic up and we'll ask ourselves, okay, like which one of these 9 words can we tap into? Spirit, service, strength isn't just spirit, service, strength. When you think about it, it's about what's underneath. It's these 9 words that can change your life if you use them as the right tool to change your life. Allow them to guide you to help make those difficult decisions and manage that conflict. And then there's another situation where I'll see somebody do something, right? Either it's something that's really good or it's really bad. And I'll ask myself, okay, like which one of these 9 words does that action embody? Which one of these 9 words does that action go against? So for me personally, I'll share some personal stories of what I experienced. So when it comes to conflict, right? I'm engaged. I have a fiance and I've been in a relationship for 8 years, right? I finally proposed to her. It took me 8 years to do it, but I did it. But you know, in our relationship, there's ups and downs, right? And there's times where we got to work through stuff, right? Where we got conflict, we're going through an argument, and we got to get through it. And I remember one time after, you know, a conversation we were having, I was realizing that, you know, like I'm not getting through to her, right? She's not listening to me. And that same day, you know, it was convenient that Devin had sent a group text to the coaches about, hey, if you ever need something to guide you, use Spirit Searcher to guide you. So I pulled that up in that moment. And I asked myself, all right, if I'm going to work through this, like, what do I got to tap into right now? And for me, it was humility and it was empathy, right? Because I was in that conversation and I was listening to her with the intent of, all right, I hear what you're saying, but here's why you're wrong, right? Versus I hear what you're saying and I understand what you're saying. I'm being empathetic and I'm putting myself in her shoes, trying to listen to what point she's trying to come across. And that takes humility to recognize that it's not about me. It's about somebody else. Making a tough decision, all right? I had to make a decision not too long ago with the position that I'm in where I had to call somebody out on doing something the wrong way. And I didn't want to do that because, one, I don't want to get anybody in trouble, right? And it wasn't a big thing. Like this wasn't going to change anybody's life. But it was a point where I have to do what I'm supposed to do, which might run the risk of somebody not liking me. Or do I just let it go and see if nobody notices and maybe it'll never come back and bite me? So I didn't know what to do, right? So I pulled up Spirit, Service, Strength, and I said, okay, which one of these 9 words would fit right now? And to me, it was honor, right? Because honor is about doing the honorable thing, doing what's right. So in that moment, there was kind of this pressure that just got lifted, right? And it wasn't about what do I do? It was about, right, let me just tap into honor and let that guide me, right? That's going to justify my decision. With evaluating your actions and the actions of others, I'm going to tell you something about my grandpa, right? And this moment was a pretty cool moment because when it comes to service, I think this situation hit all 3 of them, right? So when I'm in high school, right, we got news that my grandpa was going through health issues and he was going to have his leg amputated. So the day of his surgery, right, his operation, we were in the room, in the hospital room, my cousins, my aunts, my siblings, we're all there and we're just in this somber mode of like, we don't know what to do, right? We don't know what to say. It's a little awkward, it's sad. So we're just kind of there, and out of nowhere, the nurse knocks on the door, right? And she wants to walk in and my grandpa, like his attention just jumped and he goes, wait, go back outside and close the door. Okay, so she does that and we don't know what he's gonna do. He sits up, he turns his body, faces a door, right? And he grabs under his hamstring, under his knee, and he grabs his nub, right? And he points at the door, right? And so he goes, all right, come on in and put your hands up. So she comes in, she puts her hands up, she's going along with it. And then out of nowhere, all you just see is his nub going boom, 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 right? Like he's taking his newly amputated leg and he's making a cannonball out of it, firing at the nurse. And for us, that took everything out of that moment and it brought light to it. So for me, he was being others minded. He was thinking about others. He was being humble in the sense that as much as that moment was about him, to him, it wasn't about him, it was about us. And then he was empathetic because he was putting himself in our shoes and trying to feel what we were feeling. So that's a personal story. I think the key to this, right? If you want to get to the point where you're using this to change your life, you got to get to the point where you call upon it when you need to make a decision. And for me, one of the things that helps me is trying to figure out, all right, I see somebody do something, which of these 9 words does that live? And I'll be honest with you, sometimes one of these 9 words doesn't fit. That's happened to me before. And that's okay. In that moment, I go, okay, like what word does fit, you know? But for the most part, a lot of the things that I've experienced do fit somewhere in here. So with that, the next part of what I want to do is I want to try to make this a little engaging, which is tough to do on Zoom, but I have a plan. So the chat is open. It's open for everybody to talk to everybody, right? So we're going to be mature. We're going to practice strength here, and we're going to use the chat. And I want you guys, coaches, staff, student athletes, I'm just going to riddle off situations, right? And I want you to type in the chat, which of these 9 words do you think embodies that situation, or which one of these goes against that situation? All right, so with that, let's see if this works and if anybody actually types in the chat. We'll start with an easy one, all right? Holding the doors open for others. Which of the 9 words do you think would fit into open the doors for others? Good. Others-minded. Respect. Absolutely. Service. All right, here's another one. Wearing a mask, right? Asking a friend to not be in your dorm because there's a limit on who can be in the dorm. Respect. Others-minded. Those are fun. Those are foundational, honestly. Those 2 words, they apply to a lot of things that you experience. Here's another one. Heading into a game with a good feeling because you've had a great week of practice and you feel prepared. Which one of those 9 words? Confidence. No hesitation. Absolutely. Excellence. Not supporting a teammate who's getting the opportunity to play over you. For me, I remember when I was a sophomore and we were actually playing Lynn at Lynn, right? And baseball. So 9th inning, we're up by 1. Coach decides to put the freshman in play, right, to go out and get the save. And I remember being in the bullpen in that moment, and all the seniors, like, it wasn't all right, let's go get him. It was, why is this guy getting the ball? Like, why didn't he pick me? Right? We weren't with our teammate in that moment. We were against our teammate. Humility, realize it's not about you. Maturity, recognizing that. Loyalty, right? At the end of the day, it's about the team. It's not about you. It's about you sometimes, but it's also about the team. So loyalty, for me, is one of those things that stood out there. Here's another one, all right? And this is an important one. Taking the keys away from somebody who's going to go drive after drinking, or calling them an Uber. Which one of these 9 words do you think fits there? Respect, maturity. Absolutely. Leaving the team better than you found it because the alumni set the stage for you to be great. Loyalty. Absolutely. There's tradition within loyalty. Honor. And that's the cool part about this process, is that not everybody is going to see every situation the same way. We're not all going to pick the same words. And that's important to note because it's how you process this information that's going to allow you to apply it to your life. Making fun of someone's political views, pushing your views onto someone else when they're not really asking for it. What word would you use to describe a teammate who just goes to work every day, right? When they're in practice and they're going through their reps, they're just, their heads down and they're just grinding. They're thinking about what they're doing. Maturity, excellence, right? Excellence is that idea of everything you do is to the highest standard possible. You're not just out there going through the motion, you're doing it with purpose. Think about the senior that doesn't make the freshman do everything. The senior that goes out there and does it with them. When I was an underclassman, I hated seniors that just said, hey, freshman, go set up the field. Freshman, get on the bucket, grab the bags, you know? For me, when I became a senior, my philosophy was, if I'm gonna tell somebody to do something, I'm gonna do it with them. Being humble enough to recognize that. Respecting freshmen, right? Doing it with them. Showing your face on a Zoom call. That's an easy one, right? That's about respect. And just the last one, reaching out to a teammate who you see their demeanor's changing. Just taking a second to send them a quick text. Hey, I noticed you're a little bit different. Everything all right? After practice, pulling them aside, asking how they're doing. Good. So I appreciate you guys entertaining me and actually engaging with that. It's cool to see what you guys think. All right, so next part. And this is the cool part that I don't think a lot of people realize, but I'm hoping after today, you start to recognize this. One of the things about our brand, right? One of the things that makes us unique, that makes us different from every school in the country, is that there's intentionality behind our brand. When you see our logo, it's there for a reason, and our values are represented within our brand. Our colors stand for something, right? We don't wear black. We don't wear off colors because that's not who we are. That doesn't represent Lynn. So when you look at these logos, and we'll stick with the chat the theme of using the chat, I'm going to ask you which value represents which logo. So when you look at the helmet, right, that's looking you head on right now, which value, spirit, service, strength do you see? And it's okay if you get this wrong. Strength, spirit, good. The shield, right? The white outline that borders the helmet. Is that spirit? Is that service? Or is that strength? Good. The sword, right? This isn't one you see often, but it's in certain places for a reason. Does the sword represent spirit, service, or strength? Good. All right, so a lot of different answers coming in. All right, so let me break it down for you guys. Here's where we're at. So the logo on the left, right? This is called the spirit mark. It's called the spirit mark because it represents the spirit of a fighting knight. The value that we attach to this is spirit. And if I go back and you look at these three words, honor, confidence, loyalty, represented by the spirit, the logo faces you head on, right? When we deal with conflict, with issues, when we go into battle, when we go into a game, we go head on with confidence because we're prepared to deal with that situation. Blue represents confidence, which you can find under spirit. Like the psychology of the color actually represents confidence. Service, you're looking at the shield that borders the helmet. And think about a shield and what its purpose is. A shield's purpose is to defend, right? It protects. It's going to get dinged up. It's going to wear it. It knows that, right? But it does that with honor because it's serving somebody else. Go back to service. That's what the shield embodies. And the word that we tie in with the shield is humility. Because it's not about it. It's about the person it's protecting, which is why it's in white. White represents humility. And then when we look at strength and we look at the sword, you only see this sword when we represent our national championships. Because a sword in battle represents victory, right? It's that final blow. And when we look at strength, the color gray itself represents maturity. So if you didn't know that, I hope you know it now. There's moments where I look at the logo and I'll say, okay, as my values guide me, so can this logo guide me, right? When you go into a game, go in with confidence, go in head on. When you're dealing with relationships, be humble, right? Think about the other person you're working with. And at the end of the day, everything we do has to be done with a high level of excellence, right? We can't waver that. That's non-negotiable. Doesn't mean we're going to be perfect, right? You're not going to live these values every day, every action you do. I don't. But I recognize that I got to strive towards it. So in conclusion, right, before we get out of here, before you guys go on your way, I want to ask you to do one more favor. In the chat, before you leave, can you please type what your biggest takeaway is, right? It doesn't have, don't say spirit, service, strength. That's an easy one. Like, give me one thing you're taking away from this. Doesn't have to be a word. Maybe it's your favorite word, or maybe it's what one of the logo represents. I'm just curious to know what you guys are taking away from this so I can use that for later on for something else. And once you do put that in the chat, go ahead and sign off. I'm not going to close the meeting. I'm going to leave it open. And I'll let you guys just go on and have a great day. And always carry spirit, service, strength with you.